Hello, good people, and welcome to the Amateur Hour. My name's Justin,
My name's Tyler.
I'm the one called Junior.
and today we're sponsored by EBXYA and Adam Stone. So, Tyler, I just learned of a development, a specific development. But you know what? Before we get into that development, I do want to quick mention to all the viewers out there, or listeners. But if you're on YouTube, technically you're viewing, okay? I did want to mention that we're on 4 platforms. No, you guys already know this. But on iTunes, on our iTunes platform, I noticed that when I released the first episode, because technically we pre-record these, everyone. But anyway, I noticed when the first episode, so this is going to come late, and I know it's going to come around like episode 5 or something. But I did want to at least mention, just in case I forget to address this on our social media platform, we run into issues with iTunes when we upload, or not issues essentially, but it's just a longer wait time for those of you who are iTunes listeners. When I put the episode up on every Friday, it doesn't come up as soon as I put them up, which is 9 a.m. every Friday. So if it does not show up, I do apologize, but it takes roughly 24 hours. So we didn't forget about you, iTunes listeners. We love you so much, okay? And we're not trying to pull a prank on you and upload late. It's simply that the system that I use when it uploads everything to all the different platforms, unfortunately, iTunes, for some reason, takes a longer time for it to upload. I don't know if it's that they're vetting it and just making sure that there's like no copyrighted music or anything, or what the issue is for that, essentially. But I did want to mention that, so I do apologize for you iTunes listeners out there, but we love you. Thank you for listening on iTunes, and thank you for listening to Spotify. We're getting a couple of you guys out there, and as well as the listeners out there on YouTube. Thank you so much. I know I'm saying this, I just released the first episode. It feels good to be back officially, to have that uploaded. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that. Again, it's going to be a little bit late of a note, because this is low-key pre-recorded. But yeah, anyway, I digress.
He's lying. It's always live.
Yeah. I mean, it's always live.
We're perfect. We don't need a pre-record and edit.
Yeah, we're not pre-recording, so that way we can make sure we're putting the episodes out on time. I mean, technically it's live for us, right? Like right now, I had just found a development, and it's not like you guys are finding out super late. But Tyler's got a pet. All right, he just broke the news to me, and what the heck, Tyler? I didn't peg you as a pet guy. I mean, I know you had a pet like in your household, but like I never pegged Tyler at his house right now. Tyler in this moment of time wanting a pet, especially when you have a kid, right? Like, don't you feel like
the dog at my parents' house, that big new German Shepherd, is my dog, right?
Is it? Is it essentially?
To be fair, my dad adopted her and paid for her, but that dog is my dog. She listens to me. If anything has to be done and she won't do it for someone else, I'm the one that has to have it done. That is my dog. She has deemed me as her owner.
She is adorable.
The only reason she's not at the apartment is because I can't.
All right, I do want to dip into this quick story. Do you remember the story one time when I came visit? And I don't know if we told this on the podcast. Have we?
Don't know.
So I came to visit Tyler one time. We came to hang out. It was a late night hanging out sesh, you know. I was like, yo, Tyler, let's hang out, dude. It's been a while. We played video games. I think we were playing some Gears at that time. We were playing Gears War 4.
Okay, I was going to say Gears 3 or 4.
I think it was 4. We're having a blast. That's all I know. I said super late. I was like 1 in the morning. And I was like, all right, Tyler, I guess I got to go, whatever. Tyler's kind of getting tired. I was like, all right. I go to move on, and Well, I go to grab my shoes, and it's kind of dark, and we turn the lights on, and I pick up one shoe, and I'm already gonna put it on. Then I realized Tyler's dog threw up in my shoes.
It wasn't like she just puked on top of the shoe and it got around the shoe and a little in the shoe. No, she directed all of her puke to the inside of the shoe. Like she wanted to fill this shoe with puke because there was very little puke on the floor or anywhere around it. It was all inside.
Yeah, she threw up in my freaking shoe. That was it was like so like premeditated. Like it was insane. It
Yeah, that was
literally
funny.
it was nowhere else to be found but in my shoe. I'll never forget that. I had to drive home with like my socks. That was it. Like, cause in throw up in my shoe, I was a bit mad, but at the same time, because you know me, I don't like to get my clothing dirty, and let alone having puke in my shoes. So, I mean, I think that was one of the pet peeves that we had talked about last time on the podcast. But like, my gosh, dude, it was hilarious, but at the same time, it was very gross. Needless to say, I actually washed those shoes. Okay, if update, and I mean, I don't use them as often. No, they don't smell like puke anymore because I thoroughly washed my shoes. I didn't like rinse it out and be like, all right, I'm gonna put my shoe on. But yeah, so update, still use those shoes. They're nice shoes. They're very comfortable shoes. And it was very sad when Tyler's dog threw up at him. But anyway, back to this pet. Tyler,
I
mind
felt bad, but I couldn't stop laughing
yeah, like
because the shoe was perfectly filled.
yeah, we were
Like I didn't have to clean a mess up off the floor. The dog puked into the shoe, not on the floor.
we were mystified by that. Honestly, it was like, and she never does that, and it's not like she never like.
I kind of wonder because sometimes she eats grass and it does make her puke. But she goes to the front door and she's like saying like, "Hey, I need a puke," and then you let her out and she goes and does it. So I wonder, like, did nobody notice? So she just said, "I'm gonna puke in the shoe instead of on the floor, so nobody gets mad."
Right?
Because she has thrown up in the house a few times when we didn't notice she needed to go out, and you get mad at her for throwing up on the floor. So then she's like sad. So I wonder if that was like part of her thought process.
I have no clue. Yeah, maybe she was trying to just avoid getting in trouble. It was rough. I don't know. Cause it's not like she didn't like me. Cause I'm fine with your dog. Me and her, we tight. I remember even fortunately, when I had to sleep on your couch and stuff. Like she was like super. She would check up on me and stuff like that, and like so she was fine. I don't know why she threw up in my freaking shoes.
She's a very protective dog, and she is a very concerned dog too.
Maybe she was. Maybe that was her greeting to me. Maybe that was her greeting for me. I have no clue. Anyway, mystified. That story aside, because we got a little bit off track. Okay, Tyler has a new pet. I didn't know that he got a new pet. Now, Tyler, tell us about what type of pet is this, and what's its name?
It's a cat, and her name is Sabrina.
Sabrina. No,
Yep.
is it Sabrina after Sabrina the witch from Buffy the No, I'm just kidding. Oh no, it's Sabrina. It's Sabrina the witch. Actually, I was gonna say Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm totally wrong. Don't chastise me, people.
I know.
Okay.
I know the direction you're going in.
Sabrina
and
the teenage witch. There you go.
that's
Jeez.
where we got the name from.
I knew
But
it.
she's not a black cat. She's a calico, so she's
Oh,
actually super colorful.
low
That is
key.
where we got the name from.
I kind of wish you guys did get a black cat. I'm not gonna lie. Black cats are
Well,
cute.
see, this cat, I was at my parents' house, and it just like walked into the garage one day, and we're out there working on four wheelers and like using tools and being loud, and it just crawls up onto the four wheeler and sits down on the rack and just watches you. And then when you come near it, it like just starts rubbing up on you and purring and being all lovable.
Oh my
And then it got
goodness.
super playful. So I'm like, huh, where did you come from? Whose cat are you? You're a little kitten, but you don't care at all by the tools or anything around you. You're just like, hi, I'm a cat. It kept on coming around, and my mom was putting like a little food dish on the deck
That's
for
cute.
just feeding her at night. And then I eventually said, okay, that's fine. You're mine now.
See, I one thing I just a little tidbit that I really love about your family is that you guys are very much animal lovers, and I like that. I like when people are animal lovers. It's nice. It's refreshing to see every once in a while. But anyway, besides the point, so you adopted this cat. Is it funny how I kind of know you guys well enough to know that you name your cat after Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
That was Sarah's doing.
Uh huh. I just want to take a moment to just know how well I know you guys. I kind of figured that because I mean your girlfriend's very much a lover of the geekiness and of the geeky realm of like
Oh yeah,
superheroes and stuff like that.
oh
So
yeah,
it's
for
like
sure.
I had an inkling, and everyone, this is legit the first time that I was learning of the name, but I had an inkling, and no, I'm cool with it. That's cool because I don't even know if she knows they did the show. I don't know if it's on Netflix or whatnot. It's called Sabrina, but it's like literally it's after Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but like it's more um adult, I guess you would say. I don't know if you guys watched that. You guys
I've never.
haven't. What?
Maybe Sarah has.
You gotta
I
ask
don't
her.
watch a lot of TV or play a lot of video games or pay attention to any media anymore because for the last 6 months I've been pushing 100 plus hours on work.
Well,
So,
do me a favor. Ask her if she knows about that, and we totally will talk about that in the next podcast. I just at least want to know if she knows about it. Just because if she doesn't, then y'all are gonna have some stuff to watch. Because I heard good reviews about it. So I haven't watched it myself, but I've heard good reviews about it, and I trust the reviews about it because it seemed like the trailers I've seen of it. I'm like, this seems interesting. I'm not sure if it's a Netflix show. I have to look that up. And sorry if we, by the way, we don't look things up all the time on the podcast. We like to keep it fresh, opinionated, very much just a relaxed conversation. So if we're not researching everything every 10 seconds, I do apologize. But we want to come off as a relaxed sort of vibe. Like it's conversation, everyone. All right? It's conversation.
well, I mean, do you want to hear this all the time? And
Yeah. Yeah, hit him with that keyboard. I don't think everyone wants to hear the keyboard all the time, and I
and
get
like I said,
distracted.
100 plus hours on each paycheck. I don't know if I have time to research every
Yeah,
topic.
and it's like we plan some of these topics, but we don't always plan to like I didn't no clue that we are gonna talk about Sabrina Teenage Witch. I ain't about to look it up right now, okay?
Right.
I'm just because we end up looking up stuff, and what I've noticed, like us as a group, we just end up getting distracted too. Like we'll just start looking into it, and then we just get distracted with reading, and it ruins the flow. Everyone like so, we just enjoy kind of having the conversation. So again, I just at least want to address that, so people aren't like, why aren't they ever researching anything? It's just because
We're not a research news podcast.
yeah, we're not
Just
a news podcast. We're
get together and BS and talk and whatever we want podcasts.
yeah, as the
And you guys just get to listen.
right as the description says, we talk about anything and everything and see what years of friendship has to offer. You guys are here to sit with us and be friends with us.
These subjects could go anywhere.
Yeah, they could go
Like my
anywhere.
Xbox controller's black with pink joysticks.
Yeah, like I'm not
Where the
gonna
hell did that come from? I don't know.
right? I'm not gonna research why Tyler's dog threw up in my shoe. Like, it's generally just the story that happened, and we want to talk about it. Like,
Oh, I suppose back to the subject a little
Yeah,
bit.
I at least just wanted to put that out there for people that might be questioning, because I remember I've had that come up where they're like, oh, like I would want to hear the article, or I would want to hear where this came from, where that came from. And it's like a lot of times we want this to feel like casual conversation.
Mm.
This isn't, like Tyler said, this isn't a news podcast. We're not here to do crazy research and stuff. Not to seem ignorant or like we don't care about certain things, because when we were talking about Black Lives Matter, a lot of stuff we did research, right? It's just sometimes like the facts kind of go past us. So, not to demean anything, right? We're just literally. I just want to make sure that everyone knows this is a laid back podcast. We're in it for the conversation. It's as
If you
simple as
want
that.
that, go watch ABC 7 or whatever your
Yeah.
local news channel is.
Listen, as we end the podcast all the time, we love you, right? But we want to just have a normal conversation. That's what we're all about. But yes, back to the topic. Sorry, Ty, I had to go off on a little tangent. Sorry, but I had to like at least address that real quick. So in the future, people asking us why we're not researching. I mean, like I said, I've had at least 3 people ask me, "Why aren't you researching?" And I'm like, it's just because.
Research is dumb.
Yeah, like we just want to be laid back. We want to have fun. I want it to feel like it's conversation, which it is. So, yeah. And if we ever, and a lot of stuff too, sometimes it's just opinionated. All right. It's very much our own opinions about video games and stuff like that. So if it doesn't agree with your opinion, oh well. I don't know. We're just here to have fun. We're here to love, all right? Okay, sorry, Tyler. Go ahead. More about the pet. So Sabrina, that I like the name. All right, I'm gonna put it out there. I like the name, especially since it comes from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Like I said,
Amazing.
unfortunately, she's not an all-black cat. She's actually the vet keeps on telling us it's a calico with a bunch of, but she gets like really cool colors, and she's very vocal. Like she meows a lot, even though right now she won't make any sound. It's kind of ironic. So whatever. Um, but now she's hopped up on my desk and she's playing with all my stuff. Sleeps in bed with us, and she's like, the cat's my first alarm clock. My alarm clock's my second alarm clock, and then Chloe's my third alarm clock. Like this morning, she curled up around my head on my pillow, and then she started like pulling at my face and stuff. Like, hey, why aren't you paying attention to me?
That's
Like, thanks,
adorable.
cat. It's because I was sleeping like you do all day.
I want to ask this: is your cat like a friendly cat, or is your cat a mean cat? Because
She's friendly.
she's friendly. Okay, because I haven't really met too much of nice cats. I run into a cat here and there. Like Junior has a cat too. Apparently, it's an okay cat. Pretty nice. It was like the
She,
first nice cat I've known.
she's very playful, and we had to get her declawed because when she plays, she grabs you,
Oh, that's
and
unfortunate.
she doesn't do much of her back paws, but she latched on you with her front paws, and then she bites, but she doesn't like bite to hurt you. Like she nibbles a lot, I guess. So like
See,
if I go up and play with her paws right now and she's on my desk, she grabs a hold of my hand and then nibbles on it. And then if I stop moving, she just starts licking you.
see, I know now some people might be opposed to the declawing of a cat, and I will say this: Tyler has a little kid. He's got a child, and if the cat's over here, playing and clawing, I don't want that kid getting hurt. So I think I would agree with your declawing in this
Well,
situation.
I don't really know the process, but she hasn't shown an ounce of like being in pain. She right even when we got her home, like she was on. They gave us like these like mini morphine shots, kind of for
Okay.
cats. So and they're not a shot. You actually just squirt it in her mouth and she drinks it. But she was on those for a couple of days. I think you gave her one in the morning, and then they had an extra one if she was getting irritated throughout the day. But we only had to give her the one in the morning. She hasn't showed any other signs. I don't think it really affected her. And like I said, she's just been jumping around and being playful the whole time. And I guess they don't stitch their paws anymore. Like the vet we went to, they glue their paws. Like where they took the nail out, they glue that part shut with some kind of glue that just dissolves over time. The other day, her one paw was actually, I guess, seeping a little bit. Like there was little tiny blood dots here and there. So that was like, whatever, I guess. So we had to clean that up. But that's the worst I've seen, and it's probably because she keeps licking it. It's. I mean, like I said, she's good now. It was dripping a little bit this morning, and it's not anymore. And you can kind of see where it's scabbed up again. But other than that, that's like the worst I've seen with her getting declawed.
I
So
just know like some people find it like a little bit inhumane, and I'm 50-50 with it. Like I said, if there's a kid, and this cat is playful but unfortunately uses its claws a lot like that, you have to protect a kid.
well, I've seen other cats get declawed,
Yeah.
and like they've come home with like these big like bandage things around their paws,
Yeah.
and you go to touch them and they're like super sensitive because they're in pain, and then
Mhm.
they're hopping around like whining and it looks super uncomfortable. None of that happened with her. Like
That's
no
good.
bandages on the paw.
That's
She
good.
came in the house. I mean, she was a little bit drugged, to be honest. But the first couple of days
Yeah, but
after,
at least she is.
well, yeah, but she never showed any discomfort.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have a little one. I agree with it. And
Uh,
now it gives me a reason to visit, right? I get to see now not only just Chloe, I get to see a cute cat. It's a
yeah,
she, right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like I said, unfortunately, now she wants my phone. Given the name, I guess it would have made more sense if it was an all black cat, but
No,
she's
no, it makes sense. She looks like a
cat.
Sabrina. Everyone, she looks like a Sabrina. So I've been told. I remember one time I was petting Junior's cat. I was at Junior's house, and this was actually, I was at his house. For the gravel. We actually had talked about this first episode. So, uh, if y'all want to hear about that story, go over to episode 1. If you're just hearing this one for the first time, but kind of relating to that story, I was petting Junior's cat, and I was talking to my friend Gabby. She was on the podcast actually before. Y'all want to check her out? Her name's at Flanty, and she actually had a birthday yesterday, as of us recording this. So she'll get to see this. But that cat. So when I was petting that cat, I had sent a video to Gabby. I was like, "Oh, look, like a nice cat or whatever. Like finally, like a nice one." And she's like, "You're petting that cat wrong." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you're petting that cat wrong." I was like, "You couldn't pet a cat a wrong way?" And she's like, "Yes." And then she sent me like millions of videos. So apparently for years I've been petting cats wrong. It's you gotta like go with their hair, you can't go against it. Some cats like more just gentle rubs, and they're not like dogs. See, I'm used to my dog. My dog, I could pet her however which way. She loves it. Scratching her tummy and all that stuff. But cats are apparently very much different. From the way dogs like to be coddled in a way, right? I don't know if you knew that. Are you aware of that?
I know there's definitely spots where she prefers not to be touched, but for the most part, you can just kind of go up and scratch her. And if she really enjoys it, she like pushes into you and starts purring. Or if it's a spot that she doesn't like, she pulls it away, or she grabs your hand and she nibbles on you. So she lets you know. And I mean, I've only made her hiss like a few times, and it was in the middle of her playing too. So I like she didn't bite or anything, but she just kind of like I guess hissed and then went back to nibbling. So
Yeah,
maybe that was part of her playing. I don't know.
she's like, don't interrupt me, human. I'm playing human. No, that's awesome though to hear that. Honestly though, I think it's good for your daughter too to grow up with an animal. I think it teaches them a lot of responsibility as they grow up, and how to be gentle and how to be loving as well. I don't know. with your idea of getting a cat, like, was that something you kind of thought about, like teaching Chloe how
Uh,
to?
not really. I mean, it would be nice if Chloe would go scoop the poop out of the litter box and fill the food bowl, but
Well, considering her age.
that eventually,
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, did Sarah just wanted a cat, and this one just like came up in the garage, and I was like, "Hey, I got a cat."
You're like, surprise, honey, I have a cat.
I had to hurry up and put something over the power button on my computer because she just started pawing at it.
Oh gosh. Well, you heard it here. If he cuts off, we'll cut to the famous beep sound. Since you've had this cat, like, have you had any trouble with your sleep? Have been doing
Not,
weird things in your sleep?
she mostly sleeps at the edge of the bed. Um, it's just in the morning. Like I don't know if it's because her food bowl is empty or she took a crap and she wants me to clean it out of the litter box. But usually in the morning at about 6ish, sometimes a little earlier, she comes up and she's like, "Hey, meow, get up now. I don't care about you sleeping. I need something."
um. So, yeah. Do you do anything weird from when while you sleep? You get up and just like wonder like, how did I get here?
Well, actually, just last night, I woke up to my bedroom like absolutely freezing for some reason, and I don't remember getting up to do it, but I turned my air conditioner like all the way down and let it run full blast. So I
Oh
woke
my
up with like
goodness.
an itchy throat and like all curled up in my blanket.
Oh, dude, that's the worst. I have those. I have that too, where it's like if it gets cold and like it's hot out, right? I'll
Hmm.
get like my sore throat, and then I'm like, oh, what the heck? And I think I'm dying because I'm a bit of a hypochondriac.
Well, then I woke up and I brushed my teeth and then I put a piece of gum in my mouth because everything just felt dry. And then I got a
Yeah,
Tart and a glass of milk and
I'm totally
like
gonna get a Pop Tart later now that you said that.
time I like wake up like that, it takes like half the day for it to be back to normal. Like
Right?
I'll
Like, what is
have
up
this
with that?
throat feeling until like 1 or 2 o'clock.
To be honest, I was happy because I woke up this morning, right? And I mean, I sleep with my animal too. Like she sleeps, she's on the side, right? She's like knocked out. My dog, she sleeps right next to me. And when I got up, I was like, normally she like pulls the covers, bro. Like she's like a chick or something. Like she'll take the covers. And like, cause she just scrunches up like so close to me, right? And I guess while I'm sleeping, I start rolling my body like to move so I'm not like crushing her, obviously. So subconsciously I'm moving, and like a lot of times I'll wake up 1 foot out, and sometimes like literally I have like no covers because like I keep scooting over and she keeps scooting onto the covers. So it's rough because I too wake up like you're saying with like the dry throat, and it's kind of irritating because you're right. It takes like almost like the full. It takes me a couple hours for it to like go away. And like I said, then I'm like, I think I'm catching a cold. I'm freaking out. Now that this COVID thing's going on, I'm like, I'm dying. I'm like, I don't
Dude,
know
that's
what's happening.
like all of a sudden you start coughing in the middle of the day a little bit.
Hmm. Just
Maybe you ate something that wasn't the greatest to eat for dinner, and then you have a little bit of the poops.
yeah. For me, it's like
Like checking your temperature at the same time, like because
yeah,
you're halfway freaking out because of the COVID, but then
exactly.
you realize that it's just normal because this happens once in a while, and then you're
Yeah.
like, why do I go through this?
Exactly. And then it's like I have like I had like tonsillitis, and I mean since had my tonsils removed, but I always have this weird fear that it's coming back, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, but I don't even have tonsils, so it's like
Right? And then you like snap back in the reality, like, oh wait, this can't come back because I don't have them anymore.
exactly. So essentially, we're human, everybody, and that's what we're trying to. uh, I just hate it though. I get into those moods. But like, yeah, no, I when I was smaller, when I was a kid, I actually used to sleep with my eyes open. Isn't that
Mhm.
weird? I think it's
I,
super weird.
I think I may have done it in school a little bit here and there because like I'd be, elbow on the desk, face in the palm, still like looking, but then spaced out to the point where I have no idea what the teacher was saying, and then they call my name and they're like, "Huh, what?" So at that point, honestly, I think I was dead asleep, but my eyes were just looking that direction still. Because it's like, when you're like lightly asleep and you can hear what goes on in the background, but then you're like unresponsive until someone calls your name, and then you get up and like, what? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that little REM sleep, if you will. I don't know what REM that would be. I'm trying to
There was
remember.
another time I did something weird too. I have a charging dock for my phone, and I use the always on display. So when it goes on the charger, it always displays like the clock and everything on the screen.
Yeah.
I woke up one morning, and luckily I have a few different alarm clocks because it was about 5:45. I usually wake up. My phone goes off at 6:30, so I can get ready for work. So I get up, I look at the phone thing, and I'm like, where the hell is my phone? So because it's not on the stand, I'm looking in the bathroom, I'm looking around my bed. Well, I find a half empty glass of milk
Hmm.
sitting next to my TV, and my phone is sitting in the refrigerator next to the milk. So I'm like, what?
You know what they say? You got to keep your phone nice and refrigerated.
Hey, well, the sucky part was, it was only charged to like 30%. So then I'm like, oh, that's not going to last through work. My phone is like my main tool for work. Literally everything goes through my phone. Phone calls, chats, all the apps to do everything. Um, if my phone doesn't work, I don't have access to a phone or something, I cannot perform my job for the day. I'm thinking like, okay, did I pour myself a glass of milk like
Hey,
complete because like I always wake up and go to the bathroom, once or twice during the night. Every once in a while, I just find something weird when I come home from work. I'm like, that's what I did with it. But when the fuck did I do that?
talk,
I'm like, I can only think like, okay, I must have done that when I was sleeping.
talk about a cold call. Am I right? Huh? Huh?
Mhm.
Or I bet at that moment you were thinking about the is your refrigerator running joke because you're like, is my either my refrigerator is alive and eating my phone, or I'm getting up in the middle of the night and putting it in there. um,
Yeah, I don't know. It
I don't
was
know.
just
I've never. So you're a sleepwalker then, right? Is that what's happening?
when I was at my parents' house too. My awkward as hell like L-shaped room.
Yeah, it's
I
super
found I
awkward.
found myself sleeping in my closet like multiple
Oh
times.
my
Like
gosh.
I would wake up sleeping on my pile of dirty laundry in my closet with the door shut.
So then, being a sleepwalker, is that something you're like freaked out about? I mean,
Not really.
not
I mean,
really,
hopefully one
because
day I don't just walk out the front door
yeah,
and like
that's
go.
why I'm like that has me like all right, well, Sarah should probably keep a lookout for you because like you walking out definitely has to be something that would be a bit
Well,
scary.
I recently put an alarm panel in my house too, so I have a sensor on the door.
Okay, so if you go
So
out, it's gonna be
yeah, I have it. I put it up in the beginning because we were getting all these like riots and threats and everything for the area. So I'm like, you know what? I got this equipment. I'm just gonna put it in. But then second thing is Chloe is now turning the doorknobs and opening doors. So like the closet door and the bathroom door, we have those things on it where she can't grab the knob and turn it.
Oh
But
yeah.
they don't fit the front door. The front door is like an awkward knob or something. I don't know.
Did you put
So
like latches in the little bathroom sink too, just in case, or
yeah.
the kitchen
So
sink?
she hasn't figured out the deadbolt yet.
Okay, that's good.
So I always lock the deadbolt and then they arm the system. So if that thing starts beeping, then I'm like, okay, is someone coming in or is Chloe leaving? But so
You're
far
like
it
either
has
Chloe's running away or
right. It hasn't gone off in the middle of the night yet, so that's
mm,
kind of relieving. But I guess
yeah.
it's just in case because after the whole thing started happening, and then Chloe, like now, someone knocks on the door and she runs to the door and turns the knob, like she'll just open the door wide open.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
so now that I know that she can just open that door no problem, now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a little extra to that door.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely you want to keep those safety precautions and
So
stuff
I
is
ended up putting a glass break in the living room because there was all these things about people throwing bricks through windows and stuff. And then I put a door contact on the door that goes in and out. And then I just happen to have like a smoke detector, so I threw that up too because why not? I guess.
yeah. I mean, look at you, Tyler. One thing I guess I want to get into. So it's like it's kind of weird, right? Because I remember us being like kids and stuff, and then now to kind of think back. And I had this conversation with Junior in private before, but it's like now being older and like thinking about like, oh my gosh, like I never thought about myself talking to Tyler about his kid. Like that's
Yeah.
like cut to us in like fourth, fifth grade or like sixth grade, you spending the night and stuff, and us like hanging out, like playing PS2, and because he'd bring it over, and like I don't know, I never really thought one day we're gonna be talking about having kids. So it's
Right.
like
You get to having those conversations, and then all of a sudden you're like, fucking reality check. Holy shit.
to cut back to like even like episode 1 when I was with Junior that day when we're like laying gravel and stuff, we were talking about like good lawn. Like we're like sitting there talking about what it is to
Right?
have a good
Like,
lawn and
making the grass look nice and the gardens. And see, I'm still living the apartment life, so that's not really a thing for me
yeah,
yet.
but it's just
But
like,
like,
you
it's
get
gonna
older.
happen.
You get
And
older and you
meanwhile, you're
start
just
talking
like, yeah,
about
so
that.
my parents' basement's all right.
Right? It's insane. Like you get into talking about, all this adult stuff, and you come from being a kid, and you know, I don't know, I think it's cool to like think about, but it's crazy to think about at the same time, to think at one point
Well, now
maybe.
the thing that comes to mind once in a while, I mean, obviously I have a while before I get to this point, but like eventually Chloe's going to go to school and she's going to get friends and then she's going to be like, "Hey,
Oh
can
my
I go to my
gosh.
friend's house?"
Yeah. Like that's
So,
just
that's going to be honestly, I think it's going to be a tough one for me to answer because you hear way more than ever used to be. Like when me and you were hanging out, you lived across the highway from me, and if we wanted to, we could cross that highway on our bikes and
yeah.
just go off and do whatever we
Yeah.
wanted. But now it's like you have to worry about um one, just people that just want to pick up a child more than ever. I mean, I know it always happened, but now it's like more than ever.
Yeah.
And then you have to also worry about like, okay, now my kids spending a night, are these people good people? That kind of things is just like I said, there's more
Yeah.
and more of it every year it seems like. So
You know what?
those
Um
conversations are gonna be
it's
down the line
scary.
some. They're not here yet, but I'm always like thinking about it.
I'd like to get into more of this topic, but I think we're a little bit over for break, so we're gonna get more into this topic after break. But yeah, so please, guys, enjoy a word from our sponsors. Adam Stone, a unique and talented artist hitting the alternative rock scene. Listen to him as he jams his way into becoming a new hit artist.
But now you will, 'cause I am bringing you down. I'll take you off your chair, setting fire what's left from your hair. Someday.
Listen to Adam Stone singles for free on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Surrounding me. I don't know why I was chosen to live like this every day, every day, every day. I don't know why pain.
You can follow your favorite ghost, Adam Stone, on Instagram and Facebook. Link in the description. And we are back from that word from our sponsor. I did want to mention, please follow us over on our social media on Instagram and Twitter. The link is in the link tree, as well as, again, welcome all 4 platforms. I love you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying it. If you have any sort of critiques, criticisms, or even just a good old good job, please go over to our Instagram or Twitter. Be sure to comment on any of our posts, send DM, say like, hey, I loved it, I didn't like it. Like I said, when it came to the research thing, I was actually DM'd by a few people. And yeah, I listened to your feedback, okay? So I'm just trying to let you know that I'll listen to your feedback. So don't be afraid. Come on over to social media. We definitely want to get the community talking. We want to get the community together. And we're constantly trying to build. I think with our little community of listeners, and we want people to love on each other and just overall have fun with this podcast and listening to it and connecting and making new friends possibly. So go over to our Instagram and or Twitter and follow us. You could get all of the updates on the episodes. If I'm delaying in a few, or if I'm not delaying a few episodes, you get all those sort of juicy updates. Anytime there's a new episode, if you forget, which I would like to mention on YouTube, if you're subscribed, please hit that notification bell, so that way you get all the alerts and notifications anytime we post. But again, I'll repeat, every Friday, 9 a.m. I don't know, what sort of time zone are we in? Tyler, what time zone is this?
Central?
Central? Yeah, Central. 9 a.m. Central Time. You can definitely count on the podcast episode going up. iTunes is a bit delayed, but on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube, it'll be up instantly, okay? So, yeah, let's get back into it. Tyler, you were telling me about some new Nvidia? You wanna get into that for me?
Nvidia 3000 series. So they're new graphics cards. We're in Central Daylight Time. I knew it was Central something.
There we go, everyone. We did research for you. Central.
Well, there's a few different Central, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're right, because Indianapolis has a different time than us.
But okay, let me...
Yeah, well, there you go. We did the research.
Y'all research.
We didn't want to have all that clicking for you guys, and so I'm happy we kind of got that all figured out.
Basically, Nvidia, they released their 2000 series, and everyone was like, oh, this is so overpriced. The price to performance isn't there. I can't afford this. Blah, blah, blah. Well, now they've just released their 3000 series. So, for the people that don't know what all the specs mean, I'm sorry, but you'll just have to look into it. They have 3 cards that they announced, the 3070, the 3080, and the 3090. So the 3090 is their Titan replacement. So, and then if you get a little bit more into the specs and prices, let's look at this. A 2080 Ti costed, after market inflation and other stupid things, typically when you bought your 2080 Ti, you just expected to spend about $1,000. So now they've released the 3070, which has only 8 gigs of RAM, but it's GDDR6 instead of GDDR5, so it's higher bandwidth, and it has way more CUDA cores. But here's the kicker: it's $500. Well, according to Nvidia, they're saying somewhere around double the performance of your
Jeez.
2080 Ti. So for some people, they're going to be really excited. For everyone that just bought a 2080 Ti, that's a fucking slap to the face. Because that's
Yeah.
half the price, or possibly less than half the price of what they just spent.
I mean, they
But
give.
the one that I got my eyes on is the 3080, which is still only $799, 10 gigs of RAM, 8,700 CUDA cores. I mean, this basically all just, it's, you're looking at numbers that are just huge now, especially that price. So, and then if you even want to go to the 3090, what some people may have paid for their 2080 Ti's, the 3090 is $1,400.
Holy
And
moly.
that's 24 gigs of video memory and 10,000, 400 some CUDA cores. That's
Holy mackerel.
that card will crush anything. That you'll plug that into your computer and it'll crush it. The only thing that is, well, if you're on the new AMD platform, you'll be okay because that has Gen 4 PCIe. But if you're on an older Intel platform, like my computer's about 5 years old, I want to say you can still run these cards, but they're on Gen 3. So you may not be getting the full performance. That I don't know a whole lot about. I've never used or played with a Gen 4 device, or I know really the big difference between it. I know the Gen 4 is more bandwidth from the card to the motherboard, like into your lanes that the CPU is controlling. It's higher bandwidth and it's faster. These cards are going to be Gen 4. So now I'm sitting here debating, okay, am I going to upgrade my computer? Because that's, well, I'm going to jump around a little bit because here's another disappointing thing. I was looking at processors the other day.
Yeah.
I have an i7 6700K. It's a quad-core 8-thread processor. Well, I was on Intel's website, and now they have a i3 that is a quad-core 8-thread processor. And I was comparing the two, and in some cases, my processor is still better, but in a lot of cases, this i3 is edging out my i7. So right there, I'm kind of looking like, man, is it really time to upgrade? Because my computer in some cases can be beat by an i3.
Holy moly.
Right? Isn't that's an eye opener? So that right there, it just tells you that the tech is flying right now. There's
That's the thing with technology, though.
performance for the dollar. Like an i3 is about $100. I spent $480 on my i7, and now I can go spend $100 and get roughly the same performance. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So, and we just built a new gaming computer. Actually, I built one for both of my cousins actually, and we just put an i9, which didn't even exist at the time that I bought my computer. You could not buy i9s. They didn't exist yet. So now the fact that he's on an i9, that it's a 10 core, I'm assuming 20 thread because it's usually double the threads, the cores. I could be wrong though. I'm not 100% sure. Then he's also got 32 gigs of RAM. That's way faster than mine. Right now, he is one of those people that bought the 2080 Ti for about $1,200. So, sorry, Dylan. But he likes his card, so I guess that's all that matters, really. I don't know. But even his system that we just built, it still runs Gen 3. So I'm wondering if he were to buy this $500 3070 that outperforms his 2080 Ti. I'm just going to keep on reiterating that to everyone because I know it's pissing someone off right now.
You know what?
Because if I bought a 2080 Ti, I'd be pissed right now. Now, people that are on your AMD platforms, like my cousin Josh, I just built him a system with the Ryzen 3800X, 32 gigs of RAM, an X570 board, all the good stuff. And he has a 5700 XT, which is AMD's newest graphics card that can run Gen 4. So he can upgrade to this 30 series from Nvidia because he does have a system that can run Gen 4. So the other systems, like I said, I think you can still upgrade. I think they will run on Gen 3, but Gen 4 will unlock its full potential. Now we're waiting because AMD's got something up their sleeve too. They've been talking about Big Navi. Anyone who's been looking into the new Xbox, Big Navi is the graphics that their new Xboxes are going to be running. Now, that Big Navi in the Xbox is a, not to say dumbed down, simplified version, but it is a lower tier version because it's jammed into an Xbox. Now, when they release their Big Navi cards for the PC world, you will get a full-blown graphics card that you plug into your computer. It's this bigger piece, it's more powerful, and there's going to be more variants. Like at AMD, they have the 5300, the 5500, and the 5700. Where the Xbox, whatever card they put in the Xbox, it's just going to be like, oh, well, you get this card, but you can't upgrade it. And it's going to be a reduced version that is tailored to the Xbox's performance. So now we're waiting to see what happens. And I'm debating building a new computer, which I don't have to rebuild the entire computer. I just need to replace the motherboard, get a new processor, and probably faster RAM. I can still use my case, my fans, my CPU cooler, my hard drives. I can still use all that stuff. But the what we were hearing about with the new PlayStation and the new Xbox, where they were going to be using very high performance SSDs. Well, Nvidia just released this 30 series, and you can use those high performance SSDs with Gen 4. And so basically, the old way of running a game on a computer, where maybe you still had your SSD, or maybe you're on the budget end and you're still using your hard drive, or you just have an older computer still using your hard drive. Basically, it would take the game data from the hard drive, load it into the RAM, and then process it through the computer's processor. Technically, even if you have the best hardware out there right now, it's a slow process. Now with these new graphics cards, now you have your hard drive. Let's say you have this 3090 with 24 gigs of DDR6. Your graphics card will take data straight from your SSD and bypass everything, and the card will process it itself. And then you'll get faster graphics and faster performance going through it like that way. That's basically what the Xbox and the PlayStation 1s are doing because of the system integration and how it's all built to made to work with each other. Well, now they're bringing that to the PC side. So unfortunately, yes, the Xbox and PlayStation are going to have ridiculous performance improvements compared to the last generation consoles.
Yeah.
But now we've just unlocked that power on a computer that will smash an Xbox even further. So the PC end, we're still going to be superior for everyone that is cursing at all the people with the Xboxes right now. Don't worry, you're still superior because we've just unlocked that control on our own computers if you have an up-to-date platform anyway. But the fact that Nvidia just dropped these cards basically made their last generation cards like obsolete. And I'm hoping these prices stay relatively close to what Nvidia is saying, because like I said, the 2080 Ti was about $1,000-ish card. The fact that they're releasing their 3070 at $500, $499, and it's outperforming sometimes by far a 2080 Ti, that's just like asking everyone to upgrade and switch to the 30 series. That's actually like when 20 series came out, everyone was like, these are so expensive, I can't afford this, the performance per dollar is not there, blah blah blah. And then they released the 30 series and they didn't turn the prices up very much. Actually, they kept them about the same. Some of them seem a little bit cheaper, but the performance per dollar just went through the roof. If you think about the cost per dollar per, let's put cost per frame when you, let's say you're putting that 3090 in your system. If you looked at a card that had that much processing power and memory, you were basically looking at what do they call them, the Nvidia like Quadros, the super high-end like workstation cards that cost thousands of dollars, or even some of the Titan cards that still cost upwards of $2,000, and they just released this card that's going to outperform those cards at $1,500. Let that sink in. And that really lets you know what direction that we're going in, because Nvidia, obviously, they're in competition with AMD. I guess Intel's trying to do something with graphics cards, but they haven't released anything that's even like worth mentioning yet. But for Nvidia to release something this big, you can only assume, because you know they're competing with AMD. AMD with their big Navi and all the consoles always go towards AMD for all their hardware. AMD, I hope they got something big up their sleeve with Big Navi, because to see some more competition around the board, AMD is really taking the processor by storm, like Intel versus AMD, the bang for the buck, the performance and everything. There's a lot of people switching to AMD because they're just taking the market. I'm really hoping to see some really good stuff with Big Navi coming out. So there's really going to be some competition there too, because I have worked with the 5700 XT, which is AMD's top tier card right now, and it's a good card. But if they have something like maybe AMD releases their Big Navi card in a low tier, ends up bypassing the 5700 XT like Nvidia did with their cards, just imagine the performance gains that you'll be able to get in your computer without doing these $1,000, $1,200, sometimes people spending $2,000 to upgrade the computer. Imagine you're already on AMD's newest platform and it has Gen 4, and just think about if AMD releases a similar card and you can just spend $500 to get ridiculously more performance. And like I said, AMD having Gen 4, you could even go buy this Nvidia card and plug it into your system and get ridiculous performance gains. It's like everything all of a sudden now is everyone was saying, oh, there's something big coming. There's going to be a lot happening. This is a bigger jump than they had with the 1080 Ti. So, like, I have a 1080 Ti in my computer. When the 1080 Ti came out, everyone was like, holy crap. That card is stupid powerful, especially for its age. The 1080 Ti is still seen as one of the biggest graphics cards performance jumps in the world. And I believe they just did it again here with their 3000 series. It may have even been a bigger jump because, like I said, for an RTX 3070 to jump right over the head of an RTX 2080 Ti, the top tier gaming card, that right there shows you that the performance gains are just massive. So now
Definitely,
I'm so
man.
now I'm thinking, do I upgrade my platform to AMD Gen 4 and get one of these new cards? Or am I waiting for Intel because I know their next lineup has to have Gen 4? Otherwise, Intel is again going to be losing a lot of market share. Because anyone who's a PC gamer, there's Intel fanboys, there's AMD fanboys. I don't like to pick sides. I go by the numbers, what's going to give me the most performance. 5 years ago when I built my computer, maybe even 6 years ago, whenever the 6700K came out, that's when I built my computer. Um, Intel was taking the gaming side by storm because I believe that was when the FX like processors from AMD were out, and everyone knows they were shit. So I went for Intel. But if I were to rebuild a computer right now, today, I would probably shoot for AMD because they have Gen 4 and much more performance per dollar. But then if Intel all of a sudden releases these chips that also have Gen 4 support, I'm going to really have to do some thinking to see which way I want to take. Because right now, with these cards that just got released, everyone building a new system, the smart thing to do would be go to AMD because they have Gen 4. You can run those super fast SSDs. You can run these new cards from Nvidia. You can have the system integration that works like the new consoles are supposed to with these really high bandwidth memory and storage systems that make everything run snappier and faster and more efficient. But if I were to upgrade to another, let's say I went to my buddy's system, he just built one that has the i9 brand new 10th gen processor, but like I said, it's on Gen 3.
Hmm.
So he can't run those ridiculously fast SSDs in there. And if he can't do that and then he buys a 30 series card, he can't fully leverage that card without those SSDs. So like if you wanted to upgrade to these cards, you would kind of want to do the whole thing to get the most out of your system, but he can't because he just spent $2,000 on an Intel system on Gen 3. So I told him he probably wants to wait a little bit, but then he was like, no, I'm going to do it now.
Impatience
Other
sometimes.
cousin, he built a system on AMD, which has Gen 4.
Yeah.
So he can go through this. So now I'm thinking like, okay, my cousin Josh, he could spend $500 on his 3070, spend another $300 on a stupid, ridiculously fast SSD, and we could put those two parts in his system, and it would be a night and day difference. He would be like, what the hell just happened? And for anyone that wants the in-depth stuff about what I was talking about with like how the SSDs and everything are working through the graphics card and getting to really high speed memories and all that, just go to Nvidia's website. They have like a half-hour seminar thing, I guess I'll call it, where they actually explain all that stuff and they talk about all the new cards and everything.
There you
So
go.
they will
There
explain
you
better than I
go.
can. So that's why I did not explain.
See, we do our research. Okay. So in other news, the Halo Infinite, Xbox's heavy hitter for their new Xbox console that they're releasing, which I remember we're talking about if it was like a Series X or not, and I believe it is. Anyway, the new Xbox, the new generation that's coming out, Halo is supposed to be the headliner. It's the show that gets the butts and seats, if you will. But unfortunately, they pushed it back because due to the coronavirus, like kind of being such a big pandemic and getting in the way of them properly executing the game in the studio. So they actually need a couple months, and I believe they're delaying it by a year. So it was supposed to come out this November, and honestly, do you think this is gonna like necessarily hurt the Xbox? It's gonna do good for the Xbox. What do
I don't
you
think
what do
it's
you
gonna
think?
hurt it at all. And the reason I'm saying that is for the new Xbox coming out. It's going to be closer to the time when people are going to be buying that huge upgraded console, and for them to get a new release like Halo. Just imagine that game, the performance difference, how much more beautiful that game's going to look,
That's
I
what
guess.
I mean. I was reading too, like online, like comments and stuff, and a lot of people were kind of upset. And I'm not upset by it because it's
Well, if
like,
you're looking forward to a game and they delay the release, like there's fans out there that Halo is like the only thing they touch.
but it's like
So
I
if
feel
you're that kind of
like
person, yeah, you're going to be disappointed.
I feel like Halo though is such a good title that I want to make sure it's a good game because it's like I don't want them to like just put out any old thing just because it was crunch time and we had to be one of the big sellers
Well,
for Xbox, like so I'm
maybe it's a good thing that they're delaying it because that means that they're obviously noticing that the game needs more time.
exactly.
Like Fallout 76 should have been delayed a shit ton, and they
Yeah.
didn't delay it, and the original release was a total letdown. So I'm not against them delaying a game, because if they're delaying a game to put more work into it, I think that's good. But just given the current circumstance with this crazy new hardware we're coming out with, the crazy new consoles that they're coming out with, I think it's going to be a step in a positive direction, because that game is probably being tweaked or probably being adjusted to work with this hardware. I'd be willing to bet that's one of the reasons they're delaying it, to make it work better with something like this.
Yeah, I
Because think about it, a game like that, how long was it in development?
yeah, I
It
don't
was in
know.
development before the new console was a thought.
Yeah. So
And now they
now
confirmed the new console. So now they have to make sure that game is going to be just amazing on both the old console. Because like me, I have the original Xbox One, the OG here. They want that game to be able to run on that Xbox, but at the
yeah.
same time, it needs to be able to run really well on the brand new Xbox that's about to come out.
And
So
actually, going off of what you're saying is when they first actually displayed for like the digital E3, some people were upset because when they were showcasing the Halo game, they were actually showcasing it during it was actually on PC, sorry. As opposed to running on the new Xbox console, and people were kind of a little bit livid about that because they're like, "Well, what the heck? You're not even showing us on what the new Xbox can do." And now, understanding with the delay date, I could understand why they were showcasing it on PC as opposed to Xbox.
right.
Um,
Well,
but
the new Xbox, and this goes for the PlayStation fans out there too, they're just now maturing. They're getting closer to release. They're not, so maybe back then they're still working on a lot. They're that hardware has to mature and has to be predictable before you make big launches like that. Because if you lead your audience in the wrong direction, and then it's a letdown, that hurts the company a lot.
yeah,
So
it'll be a
you
big
have
hit.
to, you got to be careful with how you do stuff like that.
It'll be one
I'm
giant
sure that gets
big old hit. So I'm happy they're delaying it. Another game that they've been delaying that's excuse me. Another game that they've been delaying that has been pretty up there, like as a big title, has been the Cyberpunk. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like Cyberpunk
I've been
2099.
waiting for Cyberpunk. I really wanted that to come out, and that's another one that I'm glad they delayed, because have you ever looked at the graphics quality in that game in the most recent
Yeah,
news?
looks insane. It looks insane.
now that we have ray tracing, higher bandwidth, everything,
I, for one,
that
am very.
a difference on a 10 series. Up if like my computer right now with a 10 series graphics and a 6-year-old whatever it is, if I play that game on my computer, I'm sure I can play it in 4K and I'm sure I can make it look like a really pretty game. But if I play it on this new platform, I'm gonna be like, holy shit. It's
I
going to
mean,
be a night and day difference.
that's why the more I think about it, I kind of I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited. So like the Cyberpunk game was a game that actually it didn't really catch my attention right away. Um, it seemed really cool, but it just wasn't my cup of tea at the time. But when they did the showcase again at E3 and they like release a lot more stuff, I'm actually pretty excited for it. I'm the
It
story
kind of reminded
looks
me of Watch Dogs in a way, and I did enjoy that game.
yes.
I'm thinking the Cyberpunk game is going to be pretty awesome for me.
So it's gonna be exciting. Oh, how do you? Speaking of which, how do you feel about the new Watch Dogs 3?
I haven't looked into it at all yet.
Oh, you should look into it. I'm personally, I'm not too fond of it. I know this is against every person's moral being and whatnot, but I think Watch Dogs, the first game, was my favorite. The second one, I was into a little bit. It didn't really interest me too much as the first one did. I think the first one, I liked the story. I thought it was interesting, this guy being a vigilante and sort of like going after. If you guys haven't played it or whatnot, I suggest watching a Let's Play or
Well, it's not
um
on.
yeah, or you yourself purchasing the game. You guys definitely I think it'll be enjoyment. It's interesting. I think one thing that I really love about it too is it takes place in Chicago, and given the factor that we're near Chicago, it's just I think that's kind of a cool feature as well.
Is it Watch
Um,
Dogs Legend?
which one? The third game?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it did pop up on when
yeah.
I typed.
It's Watch Dogs Legion, I think it's called.
Oh, Legion. Yeah, duh. Learn how to read. Um,
But yeah, no, it's gonna be it's unique. So like I could explain the premise for those of you who are unaware for at least this new Watch Dogs is you're able to actually control anyone in the game. Apparently, and they each have their own sort of set of skills and abilities and backstory. And you could literally play as anyone in the game, apparently. So, like, from a construction worker to an old lady, and the whole premise of the game and the story of the game is to sort of fight back against these sort of technology tyrants in a way. And you kind of fight back and recruit people randomly, and you get to play as those different people on those different stories. So it's interesting, but to me, Watch Dogs has just become so different from what I knew it from the first game that I just kind of checked out with the Watch Dogs series.
I really liked Watch Dogs 2. I did not play the first one, so but I did like the second one.
See, the second one's mechanics were better, but the first one, I feel like the storyline was better.
Yeah, that's true a lot of times for games.
Yeah.
Games and movies and stuff, a really good storyline, and then the second one comes out and it's like, whoa, what happened to all this stuff?
Yeah, so, I don't know. I'm excited for all these different games.
Oh, I
I
probably
think
got
they're
to
going to be cool.
go through Ubisoft, don't I?
Possibly. But in other news too, and I know this is a bit delayed again. We are pre-recording this with the unfortunate mishaps of the summer and just this year in general with COVID, and we have BLM and all this stuff going on. We had the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, the actor of Black Panther. Now, when I found that out, I was kind of very sad. He had been struggling with colon cancer, I believe it was, for quite some time. actually for a couple years, and he made a lot of good movies too. And it was around the time where he was really kicking off as an actor, playing as so many different characters that I believe were very important roles. And it is unfortunate. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Black Panther movie. I thought it was really good. It was executed well, and it was unique in itself. So I definitely have my condolences out to their family, and it's definitely a sad time for the almost geeky community as well. Those who really followed the Black Panther and were excited to kind of see him come to the big screen. It's definitely very sad with his passing. But with that said, everyone, I think it's time for a break. And I always feel like every time we get to our second subject, we always end up talking about something sad. But it's kind of our current, sort of public topics section.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this time in 2020,
that's the current event.
Not a lot of exciting news, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's a lot of somber, sad news. With the all these current event topics. So, I know it's unfortunate. I'm hoping next year's a better year. Let's keep positive. Let's hope for better current event topics. We try keeping it a little bit lighter this time. But yeah, no, most definitely. With that said, yeah, we're going to throw it over to a quick break. I often find myself wondering, what's next? What lies ahead? Where do I go? How far will I go? We often think about tomorrow. But what's the point? What's the point of not looking at what we have in front of us? Why not look to the present and be grateful? Why do you run from today? What difference does it make if everything you have today can be gone tomorrow? So I urge you, live for today. Search EBXYA on Amazon today to get all of your XLR cable needs. Link in the description. Alrighty, and we're back from that wonderful, wonderful break. Again, all of our sponsors are in the description below, so please check them out. So we were talking earlier, Tyler, and we're kind of reminiscing in the fact that we never thought that we would be here, essentially. And or not that we never thought that we'd be here, but we never thought about what it would feel like. And now that it's actually here, it's kind of I don't know. It feels good. It feels different. It feels weird because now there's so many things that we have to think about as we're older. Like now the lawn, we got to think about caring about our car. We gotta the bills. It's insane how life has kind of changed in this way. But you were touching on the fact that you didn't know how you're gonna deal or just handle the time of which. Your daughter says hey, I want to spend the night at a friend's house, and mind going over the sort of thought process behind that?
Part of it is you hear way more stories about something happening to a female than you do a male. Getting messed with, raped, abused in some kind of way. You just hear it more about a female. Well, my child is a girl. For the lack of getting too far into dark things, if anything happens to her, to keep it short and simple, I'm going to want that person to die.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's a girl. So, okay, we have it happening way, way more now. When my little girl is 10 years old, 12 years old, I don't know. When do you start saying I want to go spend a night at my friend's house?
Yeah, I remember
at that young of an age. That's just it's happening more and more, and it's scary.
I think it's one of those things where almost like the Black Lives Matter thing, right? Where they're like, it's not that there's more racism, it's just kind of finally being recorded. I think now you finally have people stepping forward and from their past and stuff like that. So when it comes to that factor, it's like, yeah, that's a scary thing, right? It's just like, how do you prevent that essentially from happening? You know, it's very tough. I think that's what freaks me out about having kids of my own is like now you have to step into this sort of idea that I have to watch this child, protect this child, and like there are some people that are crazy enough to like try and take my kid. Like it's insane.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, just I want to be the cool parent that just lets all the friends come over, everyone hangs out. You know, I would like to say, yeah, I'm that cool parent, but for the fact that I want my to be in a good relationship with my child, but also for the same fact that it's a little bit just being protective too, because if everyone's always coming to my house, I'm not going to rape your children. I'm not going to do bad things to your children.
Yeah.
We're going to hang out and we're going to have fun. And then if everyone's at my house, my child is not at someone else's house that I may or may not know too well. And now my child is not going to have something bad happen to her
Yeah, it
and
was.
scar her for the rest of her life,
I don't
or
know if
lose
you
or
remember, but
murder
like
or something.
I don't know if you remember, but like when we were younger, a lot of times I couldn't even spend the night at your house because my parents wouldn't let me.
For the longest time, your mom
Yeah.
wouldn't allow you to drive in the car with me.
Yeah, so it was just that. I mean, that has really nothing to do with the same factor of what I'm trying to
Well,
state, but it's just
it's
like,
being protective.
yeah,
It still fits, but like, yeah, that is exactly like your mom. Like, yeah, you would be able to come over to my house, but it took a while for that to happen. But it took
hmm
much longer for you to be able to spend the night.
yeah, and
And like your mom, she wanted to meet my parents and she wanted to have like, conversations, see what kind of
hmm
people they were.
yeah,
People don't do that anymore. Like now, like when I go over to my cousin's house, my little cousin, not the one I built the computer for, but they just ride their bikes around our neighborhood. Sometimes Genevieve's like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to stay at my friend's house," and stuff like that. And not a whole lot of things are said very often. But I mean, most of the people over there, they're good people. So uh, Genevieve's mom, she knows a lot of the neighbors and stuff, so that's okay. But then there's other, like over at my other little cousins, my uncle Terry. They typically don't let everyone spend the night as much, and if people are going to be spending the night, they typically come over to my uncle's house, and my little cousin's friends will spend the night at their house, because my uncle, he thinks the same way. Like, I have two little daughters, I'm not going to let anything happen to them, and if I don't know these people very well, like, it's one thing to go over there and play for an hour during the day, do that kind of thing, but he doesn't necessarily want them spending the night either.
yeah. It's a scary thing. I think see, that's one, like I said, that's one of those things where it has me fearful of even having children of my own, just because it's just, the world is such a strange place, and I don't know, it's just getting more weirder and more strange the further we get in life. As I get older, I even start to recognize like just how different things are in the world, and it's
Well, when
crazy.
you're younger, you just thought about having fun, hanging out with your friends. When your parents said, "Well, I don't know if I want you going over there," you were always like, "Well, why? I don't understand. He's my friend."
Yeah,
They
you had such
never
a
thought about the parent possibly doing something.
you had such an
You
idea of
never thought of-
innocence.
Right. So now it's like I am a parent, and now I'm thinking like, now I know these things actually exist and these things actually happen. Now it's going to be like when I'm asked that question for the first time, I don't think I'm going to say yes. you know?
I don't think so either. I think I'll wait a while. I'll wait a while like my parents did, and then when they're older, then I'll be like, okay. I think same with phones. I don't really want to give my child a phone early on. Emergency purposes, yeah, they'll have a phone, but when they get home, give me that dang phone. Like, no,
Well,
because it's like one of
there's
those things
a lot
where I
of
don't.
things with phones now or that are super controlled. Like my little cousin, she has a phone,
Yeah,
but there's an app on it that my uncle controls. Like he can say what contacts that she's allowed to reach. He can say what game she's allowed to play, what website she's allowed to go on.
yeah.
There's all that stuff you can do, which I think would be acceptable. Now, am I just gonna like my other cousins? They both have phones. They have just free reign. There's no limitations. They open that phone, they can go on whatever they want. They can talk to whoever they want. They just do what they want with that phone, like I do with my phone.
Yeah, see, and
Now,
that's just.
I'm gonna manage everything a little bit to an extent. I'm not gonna let them just free reign.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't think there needs to be a portion of like over control, but there definitely needs to be some sort of control because at the same token you need them to be stupid in order to learn from their mistakes, right?
Right.
Sometimes they gotta fall to understand how to get back up. But at the same token, for safety purposes, and I also think too, I don't want to raise someone that's so in the generation of, I have my phone, this is my life. I don't know what to do without my phone. I have to post every minute of every day of what I'm doing. To
Oh
be
yeah.
honest, I don't know if you remember, like, but
Chloe a little tablet, right? Like she watches
yeah.
YouTube and stuff, and once in a while she zones out on it to the point where like, okay, I'm gonna try to play with some toys. Let's see if we can get you to do something else. You know, because it gets to be a little overbearing.
I don't know if you noticed, but I mean, probably not because, I mean, we've been in quarantine for quite a while, or at least social distancing. I mean, but I've stopped posting on social media. I don't post. I don't.
I would have noticed that anyway because I don't use social media.
Yeah, yeah. But I remember that was always a comment. That's what I'm saying because you hadn't seen me in a while. That was always a comment that like I remember you had with like you're like, oh, you're always posting on Instagram or you're always Snapchatting or whatever. I not anymore. I chill. I got to a point where I was kind of, and I don't know if this was just because of past things that had happened relationship wise, but I don't know. I was still post afterward actually. But I finally hit this point where I got tired of myself, of just like posting myself everywhere or just making posts about myself. I felt like that was just too cringy. So I felt the cringe. I felt the uh I don't know. I felt like it was like one of those things where it was even a bit selfish of me to just constantly be just posting just I don't know, like let's say on Instagram, like an image of myself and like with a caption like that's meant to be reserved yet kind of creative in a way. So it's like I don't know. I don't care for it anymore. The only time I'm posting on social media I find myself is to just talk about the podcast or promote any sort of projects that I'm doing. Aside from that, I think I hit that point where I just don't see the need for social media. I'll scroll on it, but I don't as of posting, me making saying something or telling people what I'm doing, I don't care to do that anymore. I feel like I stepped out of that space essentially.
Yeah, so I'm kind of glad that you're doing that. So that I never had anything against it. Like Snapchat, that's just, hey, I'm doing this right now. Here's a little snap. Okay, cool, whatever, that's fine. Social media, like, hey, me and my family just went to the zoo today. We did this. We had so much fun. This is what's going on in my life right now. Once in a while, posts like that, I don't care. But when you're sorry, because this was you for a little bit, every second you send a snap, every second you put a new post on media, especially if you're doing it publicly. Like if you're doing it just to your friends list, whatever.
Well,
If you're doing it to the public, there's creepers out there that feed off of that try to, oh, this person does this, he's here all the time. I can try to do whatever to this person.
yeah, I've seen people where they put their location. They're saying like is currently at on Facebook.
Literally put your location every time
Yeah.
you post a picture. Every time there's paper trails.
There's in my
There's
defense though, I was not posting all the time, and when it was Snapchat, it's my form of communication with some people. So
well, that's why I said that
yeah.
stuff.
I just want to clarify, okay?
That I get, like okay, I'll text people a lot.
Yeah.
My little cousins, she'll Snapchat her friends rather than texting. And you make a stupid face, you do something like that, you say something funny, okay, whatever. But it's like I was saying earlier, like, hey, me and my family went to the zoo today. We saw this, and this. We made this post about it, and then we post it to the family or whatever, so our family members can see it, and maybe that's how you can share pictures and stuff like that. That stuff's okay. I get that, but there's other people, like I said, they post every single thing they do, like 50 posts a day. I woke up and took a shit, and then I brushed my teeth, and I had this for breakfast, and then I saw this funny thing my cat did, and then I went to this grocery store and bought these for groceries, and then went to this place and ate lunch, and I
Or
had
they
this
take
for
a
lunch.
picture of their food.
I can go on some people's places and I could literally follow them. Like I could get in my car and I could be like, hey, I am literally following you. I can see every little fucking thing you do. Nothing is private anymore.
Yeah,
That's what I'm sitting here thinking. Like,
I
why
think
would
too.
you want to do that? Why do
Part
you want that much?
part of me is like, does anyone really care? It was like I remember when I'd make some posts. I'm just like after I would just be like, does anyone really care? Like, do they really freaking care? Or like, you know,
I
or
personally don't. If social media didn't exist, it would not affect
yeah.
my life.
But I'm talking about the people
And
that are on social media, right?
well, there's people that they post so much and they have so many followers and so many people
That's
that
what
they're
I'm
getting.
saying. Is like, I mean, I scroll down Instagram, and to be honest, I don't really care about half the stuff I see. The more I scroll down, I'm just like, oh, okay, here's a person, here's a person. There's occasional people and certain people that where I see that I'm generally friends with, and I'm seeing they do something fun, or seeing a
You
picture
know,
of them and
I
their
think
significant
part
other. I'm
of
like,
it is
oh,
our generation, to be honest with you, because back when social media first came out, everyone was using it on their desktop computer. You would get off the bus and you would check your MySpace, and then maybe you'd talk to a friend for a little bit, and then you'd go outside and you'd go do something, and maybe the phone you had was one of those first generation quote unquote smartphones where they had a screen that didn't really do very much, or maybe you even had a razor where you flipped it up and you had to press a shit ton of buttons to type a word instead of just a keyboard, or where people actually hit the call button and talked, like actually talking. So that was like social media back then. It was, not to say a hassle, but it wasn't as easy just to pick something up and post. Now, your smartphone, this phone does everything. Like I said, it's my main tool. If I don't have this phone, my job goes out the window. Like that's how important my phone is to me now. And the fact that everything is an app now, everything is at your fingertips, everything is so easy. I think that's why I don't like social media, because that was when middle school was happening and everyone was getting these smartphones and everything was an app now, and everything started exploding. Now my little cousins, They're like, no, I can't put this phone down. This phone is my life. And that's where they also get to the part where I'm glad I don't think my little cousin Mackenzie has social media, but then again, I'm not sure. I'm sure she has Snapchat and stuff, but I don't know if she has like a Facebook page or an Instagram. But if it is the case, I hope she doesn't, because she's one of those people that does not put the phone down. The only time the phone is down is when the battery died and she plugged it in to charge it, and now she's going to do something else while it's charging. But as soon as she remembers that she plugged her phone in for charging, doesn't matter what percent is, she'll go and unplug it and start using it like crazy again until it dies again. So I think that's the issue in my opinion. Everything is, it's so easy to get to. It's so easy to tell everyone what I'm doing. It's so easy to just look up what everyone else is doing. It's, you open one app, you got everyone's information, where they are, what they're doing, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's
I had a random thought, and I'm gonna throw this in here because now we could say like back in my day, because we could say that because like now we're going through the virus, right? Well, if I ever have kids, they ain't ever gonna have no excuse, right? Because I could say like, back in my day, there was a virus, and I was going to college, and I was making.
See, back in my day, when the social media stuff came out, our house had one computer, and it was in the living room.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there on my social media page typing along and looking at everyone's stuff with my parents or siblings looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
So right there already tells you that just wasn't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't like that. So I would rather go outside.
But you know what, Tyler? You know what is your thing? Your thing is.
Now, my little cousins, they have their phone. They'll go sit in their bed. They'll type something up real quick. They'll send it. They'll put it up. Or, maybe they're sitting in the corner of the couch. No one can look at everything they're doing. It's more private to them. So they're like, I'm just going to post everything because now my parents can't tell me what not to post because I already posted it. You know what I mean? And the fact that, like at my house, like I said, there was a desktop computer, and we're talking about the big tube screen. It's not a laptop sitting on a desk. I can't go outside and I can go this far and I still have Wi-Fi. No. This thing was big and heavy, and it had to stay here. You could not move it. So it's like, oh, well, I'm bored. I'll go do something else fun. And then while I'm riding around the block, I'm like, do I really want to go on social media? Because that means I have to go inside and I have to sit there and wait for this thing to boot up and be slow and finally get to it. Where now it's just like, oh, I'll scan my thumbprint. Or, oh, cool, my face already unlocked it. Oh, there's the app. Oh, now I'm scrolling. Now I'm binging. Now I'm posting. So you see, it's now that's the problem.
A lot of back in my day, now we have that right, which is that's funny. It's fantastic. Honestly, I'm kind of happy that I'm slowly getting in there. Given my age, right? I know I still got a lot to learn, but it's still funny. It's still great because I'm gonna have back in my day rights. All right, I get the card now. Back in my day, you know what? When Chloe gets older, I'm gonna tell her. You know what? Well, back in our day, me and your father would go outside and just all this stuff and
like I'm waiting for Chloe to come out to me and just complain about something.
Right?
I'm like, well, listen here, small turd.
It's gonna be exciting.
This is how we did it. This is how it really happened, and
it's just
what
we're gonna sit there and tell her all the old stories. Fantastic.
You want to ride to your friend's house? Well, listen here. I had a bike. Now, granted, my parents did drive me around a fair amount, but when they didn't want to drive me around, I had a bike. And then it was like my parents were nice enough to buy me a car. Now, my dad didn't just buy me a car and say, here's the gas, here, go drive it. No, my dad bought me a car and I had to fix that car, and I had to get that car running, and I had to repaint that car. Yes, my dad helped me the whole time, but if I said no, I don't want to work on my car, well, he didn't give a shit. The car sat there and didn't have nothing done to it. He didn't go and work on it and say, "Here's the keys, go drive it."
Yeah.
So I worked for that car. And then in the beginning, he gave me $20 a week for gas. And he said, that'll be enough for you to drive it back and forth from school. And maybe if you're not a lead foot, you can drive to your friend's house once in a while. And then that turned around into, well, I need more gas to do more things. And my $20 a month wasn't enough, or $20 a week, I mean, wasn't enough. So now it's like, I need a job.
Yeah.
And then I say, hey, Dad, can I have a few extra bucks for gas? Sometimes he'd say yes, sometimes he wouldn't. And then I got a job, and then I got all this money. And now it's like, okay, I have all this extra money for
Yeah.
gas.
I mean,
And
I
now I
remember.
my truck. But now it's like, now I have to work. And I can't
Mhm.
do what I want to do because I got to work.
Yeah, I remember.
There was
Like,
so much.
I remember the first time I was like, "Yeah, I want a car." Mom's like, "All right, you got to work for everything. you got." She's like, "You got to pay for the gas. You got to pay for the freaking insurance. Like, good luck. If you want it, you're paying for it. Then you have to work." I was like, "Oh, fun."
And
But
then,
I mean,
your mom gave you the car, gave you the key, but then reality check, shit, I can't go anywhere today. The tank is empty.
yeah, I had to save up for it, you know. I had to save up, and luckily I had enough and was able to get it. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good qualities that I think we would be able to pass on. And I don't know,
Right.
it's just crazy to look back at those times and crazy to
Like I
see.
said, I'm hoping, I'm waiting for the first time when Chloe comes up to me and asks me for something, or why she's not allowed to do this, or why does it have to be this way? Because the first thing I'm gonna do is laugh.
Yeah, it's gonna
And
be.
listen here, you little turd. This is
It's nice looking back though. It's kind of.
her a little turd because right now she's 2 and she's genuinely being a little turd.
Yeah, it's crazy too to I don't know. It's nice to know someone for as long as like we've known each other as well, because it's like we got to see each other grow up, and it's just weird. I remember when you first had a kid, I thought it was weird. It was so beyond weird because it's like, I just remember you, like I said, from like fifth grade, sixth grade, fourth grade, where we're just hanging out, like we're just kids. And then now to see you have a kid, it's insane. It's very nice to see, but at the same time, just
Weird when I first like moved out and got my own place
yeah,
because
that
okay, my mom, she was like, "You're gonna clean your room, you're gonna do your laundry, you're gonna do all this stuff." But my mom also, if I let it go for too long or something like that, once in a while I did come home and my room was clean and all my laundry was in my drawers, and I was like, "Thanks, mom."
but
Well, now
now,
I'm
yeah,
like, you come home and it's like you have to clean. So Sarah's cleaning, I clean a little bit here and there, and oh, now we have to gather up all of our laundry and bring it over to my parents' house on the weekend because my apartment doesn't have laundry in the apartment. And we do have laundry machines in another building, but you got to go to the bank and get a shit ton of quarters. So luckily, I'm still able just to go to my mom's and be like, "Hey, thanks for the soap and laundry machine."
yeah, no, like that's
Kind of nice, but
amazing,
still, it's like it's something I have to get up and do. My mom doesn't do my laundry anymore. We have to buy groceries. We have to pay the NIPSCO bill. You have to go to work every morning to make all of this happen. It's it's awesome because it's my place and my decisions, and like I'm in charge. But then at the same time, you're like, if I could be 16 again and just have mom worry
right?
about it every once in a while, that might be okay.
Yeah, it's just the simpler times, and you hear when you're a kid like, don't grow up too fast, or you don't want to grow up when you're like a teen, but when you're a teen, you're like, yeah, no, I want to be like 18 and I want to be 21 and I want to.
That's my cousin Genevieve. She's like 15 or 16 or something like that right now. She just got a job at Culver's. So I'm like, when I go over there, now she's one of the 15-year-olds that really looks a lot older than she is.
Yeah.
She's in her adult body pretty much.
Yeah.
But I still think of her as a little child, and I still like mess with her like a little child and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, now you're at work? What happened? Where did this come from?
It's insane.
And pretty soon she's going to be driving, and I'm like, hell no, you're scary. You can't drive. So it's like all of that stuff, like you're sitting here like, we used to be in shoes, we used to be younger, we used to do all this crap, and now I can make the decision.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. We're old now. But with that said, honestly, we're actually way over time. So we're going to have to end the episode. We're already, at least for the recording, 2 hours in. So we don't want it being too long. But, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys, I hope you're enjoying the new layout. I mean, we're probably at this point like 5 or so episodes deep. I hope you guys are, like I said, enjoying this. Please, honestly, give us your constructive criticism. It does help, and I at least was able to explain, like I said earlier before, finally being able to have those messages of like, hey, like, I like this or I like that, or why don't you guys do this? We could kind of explain our side of things for you guys as well. Please go down to the description. Again, follow us on all social media. Listen to us on all platforms if you'd like. We're on 4 platforms: iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud. But you probably already know. Anything to say, Tyler?
My cat is definitely having some sort of dream right now. She's sleeping on the desk, and her paws and everything are twitching, and she keeps moving her head around. But you touch her, she's definitely asleep.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. I keep saying that, but it is the truth. All right, guys. Well, we love you. Bye.